welcome back to the vlogs. I don't know how to start these things. Anyway, today I'll be reviewing the Wahoo Element Roam 2, supplied by Copenhagen Cycling Club. My current head unit is the Garmin Edge 530. It's been brilliant. I mean, I think that head units, at least for me, is like a set it and forget it thing. Once I ride with it, it's good, and as long as it doesn't fuck me up by showing me something wrong or anything, it shows me the basics that I need to know, my power and so on and so on. I can get all the data fields that I really need on this thing. But there are some quirks and stupid things that I don't like about it after that I've tried the Wahoo. Yeah, let's get into it. Okay. So first, let's talk pros and cons. Then we move on to like my personal experience using this thing. And lastly, I'll discuss my preferred head unit. Let's get into it. Okay, let's start with the pros. This is not gonna be any like technical review where I go through why this one is better than the first Element Roam and all these things. It's basically just me having a Garmin Edge 530 and now trying out the Wahoo Element Roam, seeing what I like and what I dislike. So the first one is that the matte screen is actually slightly better in direct sunlight due to less reflections. And I actually noticed this, so I wrote it down. Buttons are really crisp on the Wahoo, and also the placement of the buttons. It's so easy to touch them while riding. Also, it's super easy to see metrics. Maybe that's just because of the screen is bigger and the numbers therefore are bigger. But yeah, brilliant. And then it's super nice to be able to see more data fields, like zoom in and out just with a couple of clicks. This has actually been probably the best feature so far for me, as it doesn't only work for your data fields, it also works when you're in map setting. So whenever you're navigating to some place, you can always zoom out or zoom in. I use this also when we're riding downhill in Girona. Sometimes you want to see the corners up close, and for some descents you want to see them like a bit further out and see them in better time. Then the arrow mount. It looks good and it feels premium. It's just a nice feature to get within the box. But now the biggest thing, as I mentioned, the zoom out thing is really awesome for navigation. But overall, just the navigation menu or screen, the navigation screen is so good. Like, the map is less detailed compared to the Garmin, which makes it so much easier to see which way you're going. And also when we're in Girona, it's really nice to see, oh, there's a hill coming up. Then the line you're following, it's gonna be yellow, red, or some other color to show how steep the gradient is of the climb, which was really awesome. And I wish that I could have this for every race in particular. Just raced in Halmstad, where I used the Garmin again. And I really missed this feature because I didn't know what type of hill I was approaching. That could have been nice. But let's get to the cons then. It is a big head unit with a relatively small screen. However, I do think that they have managed to use the space around the screen pretty well, with the LED lights showing which way you're going, if you're going to the right or left next time. If you're not using navigation, I don't think that the LEDs are really that useful. And then the biggest con might be that it's not compatible with my backlight, the Garmin Varia. Yeah, that sucks. That really sucks. There's actually one con that I really want to mention as well. I haven't tested this, but it seems like the Wahoo Element Roam has a lot better battery life than the Garmin Edge. It's a bigger unit, there's probably space for a bigger battery in it as well. And weight, I don't care about the weight. I don't care about it. Okay, so now I want to go over what I use my head unit for, and the reason for this is to try and do a discussion of which pros to weigh over the cons. So on a daily basis, I use my head unit to see my power numbers, my speed, and my ride time. And speed is not even necessary, but it's nice to look at. I don't know. But basically power numbers and ride time is the most important things that I use a head unit for in my daily usage. I use the power for adjust intensities, and I use the time to see how long I've been riding and time my workouts. Everything else I'll just look at afterwards. But then when we went to Girona, I used the navigation screen so much. Like, it's the only thing that's on my head unit almost. And also at races, I've adopted this strategy of only using navigation screen. Those are the two main things that I need one for. Seeing the power number, you could use basically any head unit there is out there. It just needs to show the number and that's it. However, I will say that having it on a bigger screen like the Wahoo actually was kind of nice. But it's not a deal breaker for me. That's what I'm saying. And the matte screen and all those things, it's not a deal breaker. The other thing that really is important for me when buying a new head unit is the price. Because as I mentioned now, my needs for a head unit are pretty basic, I think. I just need good navigation and be able to see my power numbers. And the pricing on these two are actually fairly similar. This one is a bit cheaper, but it's also a lot older. I don't know when it's from, but this one is like almost brand new. So the pricing is kind of in the same range. I wouldn't pick one over the other just because of price, but it's part of the equation, of course. And talking map features, I prefer this one. I really prefer using the map on the Wahoo. First of all, the simplicity is nice on a map, I think. And the option to be able to zoom in and out. But also a very important thing was that once I got off route, it very quickly got me on route again. Whereas I have had some issues with the Garmin. Getting off route, the Garmin might choose a whole new route for me. And I don't want that. I've planned out the route and I want to follow that route. So for map, this one wins. So all in all, I actually do think that if I were to go out and buy a head unit today, I would prefer this one. I really would. But also, I think that the Garmin app interface is a lot better. And with this being compatible with my backlight, I'm gonna use this one going forward, I think. But I'm not sure. It's basically just because in my mind I'm like, safety first. Safety first. But yeah, the better head unit in itself, I think is the Wahoo. I really like this one. Anyway, this has been a quick review. Let me know down below which head unit you're using, and if you're planning on upgrading to something like this, let me know down below which head unit you're riding. And thank you so much for supporting the channel. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.